worst decisions to titrate up with Mounjaro Dose and Zepbound Dose. Hi friends, I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. We're gonna talk about some of the worst decisions to increase your Mounjaro Dose or increase your Zepbound Dose. I'm Elizabeth, I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Freddie, and we're gonna be talking about Mounjaro. Fun fact, I am not a healthcare provider, nor do I pretend to play one on the internet. Simply my experience, strength, and hope, but we are gonna talk about healthcare providers today. In addition, I have lost 76 pounds with Mounjaro weight loss over the last year. I'm currently on Mounjaro 15 milligrams, rocking out. And if you are new, Zepbound and Mounjaro are made by the manufacturer Eli Lilly. They are the same thing, same doses. They go from 2.5 milligrams to 15 milligrams. They're the same, they just have different same formularities, different FDA approvals for them. Zepbound has FDA approval for chronic obesity management or chronic weight management, and Mounjaro has FDA approval for type 2 diabetics, but it was prescribed and is prescribed off-label for weight loss and chronic weight loss, chronic obesity management as well. So let's dive in. I've got tips for you today. We're gonna go into some of my tips from my own experience, strength, and hope, but also talking with healthcare providers. Today's video is sponsored by Join Fridays, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's dive into tip number one, is not talking to a medical professional before you want to have them prescribe a higher dose for you. I certainly have made this mistake previously. I've been on Mounjaro over a year. It was one of the early birds with Mounjaro weight loss, and if you're on Zepbound weight loss, and I would get very set on increasing and titrating up a dose. And obviously I have to have a healthcare provider's approval because these are prescriptions, right? But not being open-minded to listen to what my healthcare providers were encouraging me with and getting frustrated with that. I had that at one particular dose on my Mounjaro weight loss journey. And here's the thing, I want to encourage you. I'm at the highest possible dose. Please hear my experience, strength, and hope of, I wish I had slowed down my titration process. When I first started with Mounjaro, I got my prescription through my primary care doctor. I quickly learned that they were dealing with colds, flus, and basic general wellness. And they were not specialists in chronic obesity management and type 2 diabetes and all of the things associated with Mounjaro and with Zepbound. And so I switched over to Telehealth company. And in fact, I've actually switched to a couple of Telehealth companies. I have, and I pay for my own membership with Join Fridays. And the reason why I love them so much is they care so much about their patients. They are a startup company. Link down in the description, link below is a discount code for you today on today's video. But talking with a healthcare professional, they do video chats of where you literally get to see your healthcare provider on a video, which I very much appreciated. Having that close contact so I could literally talk to them. I've cried to my healthcare provider and have been received with such compassion, education, and knowledge of chronic obesity management and type 2 diabetes. And so that's my tip number one for you is, are you talking to a healthcare professional that you trust, that you like, that is, you feel comfortable being real with and going into the nitty gritty with at your appointment? For me, that was super paramount. And one of the reasons why I switched to Join Fridays was, and one of the worst decisions is I had a previous healthcare provider that I wasn't being brutally honest with in regards to my titration with them of like, hey, like countering back of like, they'll say this, and I held in, and I wish I had asked more questions or felt more comfortable, or I just held back. And with Join Fridays, I don't. When I go into my appointments, I have my list of things that I want to talk about, and I'm looking for answers and genuinely seeking their knowledge and information. And I hadn't had that previous experience with other telehealth providers that I worked with. Tip number two, time of my injection. This is so important. I've recently learned this, and I hope that it's helpful for you, is intentionally to slow down the titration process. I wish I had done this at Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams or Zepbound 2.5 milligrams, like at the beginning dose before I titrated up to Mounjaro 5 milligrams or Mounjaro or Zepbound 5 milligrams. I wish I had changed the time of day more before I titrated up. In fact, I do think I've got 5 worst decisions, but I do think this is probably the biggest worst decision. You'll want to stay till number 5 though, because that one's pretty close. It was one of the worst decisions because I have found I actually want Mounjaro side effects, Zepbound side effects. And you may say, Elizabeth, are you cuckoo puff crazy? And Mr. Freddie may say, yes, my mom kind of is. No, I'm just but by varying the time of day before titrating up, for me, has produced different side effects throughout that timing. When I first started Mounjaro, if you go back in my videos, I have over 100 Mounjaro videos over the past year of doing Mounjaro. I found that the best sweet spot for me not to get side effects was at 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I would have peak side effects, so to speak, while I was sleeping in the middle of the night and early in the morning when I woke up. So we know that with Mounjaro side effects and Zepbound side effects, their gastrointestinal are the most common. Diarrhea, nausea, diarrhea, nausea, constipation, and vomiting. There's other more severe ones, which obviously you want to talk to your healthcare provider about those. If you have a family history of a certain kind of, it's a genetic thyroid cancer and some other things, but there's serious side effects like gallbladder issues, appendicitis. Like if you're having severe pains, that is not normal. Do not pass go. Do not collect your $200 from Monopoly. Go immediately to your healthcare provider with those. But my biggest thing was varying my time of my injection. So I used to take my injection at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. I now take my injection early in the morning, right as I wake up. Like I'll have my cup of coffee. I'll have, obviously, my LMNT electrolytes. You guys, I didn't bring them over. You guys know I'm obsessed with LMNT electrolytes. Very much helps with my side effects. But I want the side effects, but I also take LMNT electrolytes intentionally, and I've talked about that in other videos, which you could reference by clicking that like and subscribe button. But by taking my shot in the morning, for me, it takes about 8 hours for me fully to feel those effects. So that's if I take it at like 8 or 9 in the morning. With my math, pencils down, Rose Nyland. So if you had 8 hours on top of that, traditionally I'll feel it around like 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, somewhere in that time spot, and I am full. And I am very happy with that. That appetite suppression kicks in. If I feel recently with having Mounjaro 15 milligrams, I personally feel more nausea. I'd never really had that side effect on my Mounjaro weight loss journey and Zepbound weight loss journey. And I always have said, and you can see in the countessofshopping.com a ton of my articles, but the side effect article that I've written, I'll link it down in the description link below, where I go into, just because you don't, in my experience, again, my experience, strength and hope, let me use my I statements. Just because I haven't had one side effect does not mean that I'm not going to have others as I titrate up through doses. And so for me, I hadn't had nausea until Mounjaro 15 milligrams. Now I do. And now because I take my shot in the morning, I do definitely in that late afternoon, evening time spot on shot day and going into the next morning. For me, I want that. But who cares about me? I care about you. I want what's best for you, which is why tip number 2 about the worst decision to titrate up or to increase your Mounjaro dose or Zepbound dose, obviously always talking with your healthcare provider, because I'm not one, this is not medical advice, is talking about changing that time of injection. It very well could be for you that it slows down that titration process. And I have said it before, and I'll say it again, it is not a race to get to Mounjaro 15 milligrams. There is nowhere else for me to go. I do not have the option to titrate up higher. Yes, in the pipeline, there's other medications coming, which is so exciting. We are living at the best time to be alive, which I love science. I love Jesus and I love science. And with that, the modern medicine that we have, Electrolite, is in the clinical trials, and other medications from not only Eli Lilly, the manufacturer of Mounjaro and Zepbound, but also Novo Nordisk, the manufacturer of Ozempic and Wegovy, and others. There's other companies too that are coming in this GLP-1 race. So tip number 2 would be, before you titrate up, have you tested varying those times? Now, linked in the description link below, not only do I have that discount code for Join Fridays for you if you choose to change your telehealth company. I am obsessed with their company. I absolutely love it, and it's why I pay for my monthly membership with them. But the second free item that I do have for you is my side effect tracker. It's a printable where you can track on there your side effects that you have. A track number grows, and that data gives you power. For me, I have a year's worth of data of my own body to know and reference, okay, my thigh for me does well, but the best for where I feel the most appetite suppression is the back of my upper arm. Many people in my free Mounjaro weight loss encouragement group and Zepbound weight loss encouragement group, I'll link that group down below, have said, no, actually it's my stomach that gives me the best side effects or the best appetite suppression. So I want you to do what's about, my heart's desire is for you to do what's best for you. So using that free printable tracker, if you don't want to use my free tracker, simply just track it on your phone then. But I would encourage you as part of that, changing that time of day. That's tip number 2 for you. For the worst decision to titrate up is making sure that you're tracking with that. And that leads me to tip number 3 is before you titrate up, have you had blood work done, or maybe you have had blood work done, but then in turn talk with your healthcare provider. One of the things I loved about Join Fridays that was so foreign to me was making me have blood work. I had blood work, but nobody at the previous telehealth companies were like, okay, you need to go get it now. Actually, I'm not going to prescribe this medication for you until you have blood work. I'll give it to you this time, but next time you're not going to be able to get it until we get your blood work. I want to see what's going on with your blood panels. Can I tell you how great that made me feel, because they cared that much to double check the blood work, to go back with it, the science, the data. I'm a science and data nerd, and I appreciate that so much. It's like they care enough then to read those labs. It was very easy, by the way. I just went to a Quest, like one of those easy blood. It was really simple. You just go, and then you don't even really talk to a person. There's no check-in person. It's like all automated, and then the person draws your blood. Is it phlebotomist? No, it's not lobotomist. That's not the right word. Phlebotomy, where they do your blood. And then I left. It took no time at all. And then Fridays got the information, and it was awesome. So with that was tip number 3, is when was the last time you got blood work? If your telehealth company is not asking you for blood work along this journey, red flag. That for me was a big red flag, and one of the reasons why I love Join Fridays so much is because their whole premise is that they care, and they show. Literally, I know so many people on our free encouragement groups of where they've gotten customer service calls, like a call to chat, like, whoa, who does that in this day and age? It's so cool. Like, they really, really do care. Let's talk about tip number 4. The side effects, the worst decision of titrating up is side effects of thinking about those. So maybe you haven't rotated your injection. For me, that triggers side effects. If you are not rotating, and I've done a ton of videos on shot rotation, because there's 3 best places to do your Mounjaro injection or your Zepbound injection, and they're the only 3 that Eli Lilly tells you to from their literature, is your upper thigh. It's on that purple diagram they give you in your Mounjaro box or Zepbound box. Your upper thigh, near your belly button, in that purple area, or your upper back of your arm. Check that diagram. Have you rotated through those before you've titrated it up? That's the other. I wish I had rotated more, but I was terrified. I mean, I don't even think I did my thigh until Mounjaro 10 milligrams, 7.5, 12.5, I'm forgetting. And it's one of my favorite places. No, it's the back of my arm. It was the back of my arm. I didn't do it for months and months. It might have been like a half a year on Mounjaro before I was too chicken. And maybe you're chicken too. And we've talked about this in my free Mounjaro and Zepbound encouragement group, is having that shot rotation area in conjunction with different times of day, for me, has been so powerful to slow down that titration. And that's my encouragement for you. But I also know, and this is the other flip side that I don't think people talk about very much, but you see so much of this big, I mean, I've lost 76 pounds. And so you see these numbers you're banking at the beginning. If you see in the first video, I lost 11 pounds. Hello, don't judge a book by its cover. There's a reason why that there was such a dramatic weight loss the first week. Don't judge that. But then people compare those apples to apples of like, oh, I should be losing like 5 pounds a week. That is not healthy. That is not healthy. That scares me, actually. I don't want to lose 5 pounds a week. For me, I'll use my I statements. I want to lose a healthy 1 to 2 pounds per week. And I think sometimes I see people getting so skewed, and I'm afraid for them, and I care about them, of like, no, babe, you don't want to go more than that, really. At the beginning, I was losing a lot of weight because I had a lot of weight to lose. I still do. I am on a 125-pound weight loss journey. I have lost 76 pounds so far. I still have about 50 more pounds to go in my weight loss journey. So I'm not going to be banking those like 5 pounds a week, 4 pounds a week. If I have a healthy cadence and rhythm of losing 1 to 2 pounds per week, I'm happy with that. Because I also know, again, I am not a medical health care provider, but I do know, watching thousands and thousands and encouraging thousands and thousands and thousands of people in my free group, is if you titrate up too quickly, I have seen so many people get, not so many, there's severe side effects. I don't want to do henny penny, like scare people, but it is a severe side effect of appendicitis, gallbladder issues, pancreatitis. I mean, there's some things that are not amazing. And I think that we need to show both sides of the coin too. And one of those things is going up too quickly in the titration process. It scares the dickens out of it. Oops, I'm sorry, buddy. I had to stretch my leg out. I'm downstairs, by the way. Many of you guys have asked because we have a family member who has been in and out of the hospital, so I'm not sitting next to my bedroom anymore. But little Freddy's still here. Little Freddy. You're a good boy. So going back over to the side effects component of that, I went down a rabbit hole, but I think it's important to talk about changing the time of day, changing that injection site to help with side effects. For me, I'm no longer afraid of the side effects. Like I said, I welcome them. Like, I don't want to have diarrhea in my pants. He just farted in my face right as I said diarrhea in my pants. Oh my God, A, that's disgusting. He just farted in my face. Oh my God. He just farted in my face. He just farted in my face. But meanwhile, I said diarrhea in my pants. He literally did. Let me scoot over so you guys can see him. You guys rather see him than see me. I have, by the way, the most comfortable pants on. I will link those down below. I just showed you guys my nasty feet. Okay, let's go back into our next tip. Enough about my nasty feet and Mr. Freddy farting in my face. Side effects. Tip number 5 is doing a self-inventory. If you want to titrate up, have you done a self-inventory of, are you having enough protein? For me, consulting with a GLP-1 dietitian, 100 to 120 grams of protein per day. When I realized, I started tracking, you guys know my unhealthy relationship with food, and so tracking food for me can be challenging because sometimes it does trigger a disordered eating, and so I don't track for too long. But I tracked enough to see I was only getting 50 to 60 to 70 grams of protein per day. I don't count that on day 1 and day 2 of my shot. I'm eating OMAD, usually 1 meal a day, and that's okay for me. But day 5, 6, and 7, I do want to be hitting that 100 to 120 grams of protein per day because I'm having basically 3 full meals, or you know what, I'm having, I'm having meals, plural. And so with that, because the appetite suppression is significantly different on day 5, 6, and 7 versus day 1 and 2. And so taking that self-inventory before titrating up your dose, I mean, are you eating enough protein? Perhaps you're hungry or you're binge eating at night, has been my experience. And I can't really binge eat on Mounjaro, but snacking or overeating to the point of beyond comfort, or where I should be with a healthy form of eating, was because I wasn't getting enough protein. Protein, protein, protein. And at this point, I've done so many videos on protein. You can see it when you click subscribe, click this like button. YouTube's gonna show you more of the algorithm when you do that of my videos. If you've made it this far, you probably like my content. You're gonna wanna see some of the videos of like what I eat in a day, or protein encouragement for you, or my interview with that GLP-1 dietitian. I mean, they're all in the playlist down below. So taking a self-inventory of, and I always do like to give the caveat too of, this is not a guilt, shame, condemnation self-inventory. It is a check-in from a bird's eye view of having a healthy viewpoint of eating and take emotion out of the equation. What is the food looking like? And for me, when I get brutally honest with love, grace, kindness, and compassion, no guilt, shame, condemnation, that is not welcome here. Love, grace, kindness, and compassion is when I take an inventory of my food and my meals, I can tell if I'm hitting that protein. And of course, nutrient-dense food. I am conscious of having, making sure I'm having fruits and vegetables. If you didn't see my last video, I have changed my daily vitamin supplement. I will link it down below. It's an awesome daily vitamin supplement. It has over 20 vitamins and minerals. Like, there's a lot of benefits of why I'm taking it, but one of them is prebiotics, and probiotics are included within the daily supplement. Because I didn't feel like I was getting enough nutrients, and that supplement is awesome. Anyways, I digress. So self-inventory of food, to making sure I'm having that protein. One of the things I would encourage you, if you are like me and have a disordered or an unhealthy relationship with food, and tracking on like an app is hard for you, just take photos of your meals. And then at the end of the day, I can go through really quickly with my photos and buzz after a couple of days. Like, I'll do photos of my food for 2 days or 3 days, and then I'll go through and then add up my calories with that and my protein. And then I can see from an objective standpoint, a non-emotional standpoint with food, okay, did that hit the protein? I'm looking at calories, I'm looking at protein, and fiber is becoming one of my other first I wanted to tackle protein, then I wanted to tackle the calories with it, and then now I'm looking at fiber too with that. So, and again, these are all things of simply my experience, strength, and hope. I always want to punch you back to the professionals. So my professional GLP-1 dietitian is linked down below. There's a discount code with that. Join Fridays, my medical health provider, for me, my telehealth provider. There's a discount code QUEEN linked down below. All of these things punting you back to the medical professionals or the professionals in their respective fields, and hopefully helping you find answers for you. Because at the end of the day, I want you to be the best version of you. You know what I'm saying? And maybe if your journey is different, one of our amazing viewers who's been with me on this YouTube journey the past 6 years, she's on a completely different path than me. And if you're watching, you know who you are, who I love to pieces. She's not taking Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, tirzepatide, semaglutide, any of them, any of the GLP-1s. But she does this because she knows that healing the relationship with food is so important, and continuing that. So worst decisions to titrate up, there really aren't any if you're talking with your healthcare provider. That's the punchline, is that some of the red flags for me were changing the time of day, changing the shot location, a self-inventory of my food, getting my blood work done, checking my side effects, to see also, and there are certain seasons too, by the way, and this is one thing I do want to mention with side effects, of where it is not, I don't want side effects. This season I do. I had to get through the last 6 weeks of having a family member in and out of the hospital, more than 6 weeks. It's been like 2 months, which is exhausting, but I digress. I needed to not have maximum side effects so I could be of maximum service to this family member to help them. Now that my time is somewhat coming back into my own, not fully, but somewhat, we're somewhat out of the woods, I'm laser focused back in on, like, I want those side effects. And I know what triggers side effects. Doing it on the back of my arm, my thigh, taking my shot in the morning for me, but it very well may be different for you. You may not see with your shot, which is why I want you to get my free printable down below to track this. You may not, I take it in the morning, you may take it at nighttime and not see that triggering effect of when does it work in your body, like when do you feel Mounjaro, when do you feel Zepbound. For me, it was like that 8-hour mark, but for you, it may be shorter or longer or whatever, but tracking it, tracking, because you're gonna figure out the patterns, the pattern recognition of it. Okay. We do a special thing here at Countess of Shopping of where we do emojis down below. And so my emoji for today is going to be sunshine. If you put that down below, I'll know that you've made it this far. There's thousands of you, there's one of me, but I want to get to know you better in the Countess of Shopping community. I truly do care. Join my free encouragement group, which is linked down below. Do make sure you answer all of those questions. There's a lot of spammers, and I don't, like, that group has thousands of people for encouragement. So if you don't answer the questions, you're going to get flagged as a spammer. And then number 3, check out the Join Fridays, the telehealth group link down below. Their stuff is awesome. My experience, strength, and hope has been nothing but fabulous, that they truly do care. And me making the recommendation to viewers is something that I take so strongly, that you trust me with a recommendation. And so not just me, but so many other people have had great experiences with Join Fridays too. And I love it. I love when people in the group are like, here's been my experience. And I'm like, yay. And Mr. Freddie says hello too. So now that he's sleeping, I can't believe he farted in my face. That's so gross. Maybe on the next episode, we'll work on class. Maybe not. Make sure you get my free Mounjaro weight loss success checklist down below too. Okay, friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.